will be starting with Kurukshetra, the June edition, and this edition is a really important edition, a special edition on tribe. The same edition for Yojana was also highly important, which was exclusively on forts. So in this edition, we would first talk about the tribes of India, their unique culture, and some of the important elements that we would discuss from every tribe. So India has been known for its unity in diversity, and India's tribal population is second largest in the world, accounting for 8.9% of the total population as per 2011 census, which actually is a very huge figure. Now, Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Forest and Climate Change and Environment have been working together to preserve this rich tribal culture of India, and there have been various projects which have been supported for development of the tribal community. The idea of these projects is to bring in livelihood for the tribal societies as well as bring those tribal communities in the global market and bring more export potentials for the same. So the idea is TEK, traditional ecological knowledge, with modern conservation methods, and that can actually revive the areas. So there are two such schemes. One is Saathi, the other is SEED. Saathi is science and technology for harnessing the innovations and science for equity, empowerment and development. DST provide funding for both these schemes for mainly innovation, entrepreneurship and social inclusion. There is another scheme which is known as Nectar. Nectar is the Northeast Center for Technology Application and Research, and it implements the various science projects at the grassroots level for the tribal population. One such very good example is implementation with bamboo. So honey production in Nagaland, eco-friendly yoga mats made from water hyacinth, and bamboo-based projects. Now under bamboo-based projects, we have seen a lot of those. Bamboo is considered as sacred among the tribal communities. The extracts of bamboo are used for medicinal properties. Bamboo is used to construct morangs. Now morangs are the houses made by the Konyak Naga tribes, and these are the oldest and the last existing headhunting tribes of India, and these the morangs are the places where young men actually initiate their adulthood. That means that is a sacred place where they are being taught the rituals of growing into an adult, focusing on headhunting, the various techniques of blacksmithing, the techniques of fights and all those. So this is a house where there have been traditionally bamboos which are used for actually constructing it and celebrating it. And Assam has Bihu celebrations with bamboo. Dhols and drums are made out of bamboo. Then we have the Cherai Taba pottery. Now this is an ancient pottery style called as coil pottery in the Imphal region of Manipur, and it focuses on creating employment and specifically empowering the women of those areas. Here is an example of that. The next is the state specific technology demo centers. Now these are actually individual centers which promote the individual aspects. For example, Bamboo and Cane Development Institute in Agartala, Tripura focus on enhancing the bamboo sector and bringing in market linkages. So one is an example of bamboo furniture, as you can see. Then we have an innovative technique for culm cutting or stem settings. Now here flutes are being made of bamboo, and these cuttings are then replanted to create new bamboo plants. So carefully choosing the parts of bamboo stacks at specific joints which could be used for flutes, and then guaranteeing that there is a proper stem cutting technique for fast regeneration of the bamboo. And here are some of the flutes which have been made out of bamboo. The next is gasifiers. Now what is gasifiers? The bamboo waste is converted into high grade charcoal or activated carbon. Now this can be used for deodorants, disinfectants, medicines, chemicals and adsorbents in pollution, controlling pollution, excess moisture. And this actually is a clean source of renewable energy since it has high grade charcoal. These gasifiers have been installed at numerous locations. One such example you can see here. The next is green material approach. Now, manufacturing sanitary and electricity products with the help of bamboo, replacing plastic and metal, is an eco-friendly alternative. So here are some of the electrical boards which have been prepared with bamboo, water bottles being prepared by cane and bamboo. Then we have bamboo water towers. We have seen such by Ramakrishna Mission School in Cherrapunji implementing bamboo water towers. During the winter seasons, there are severe water shortage in the regions of Meghalaya. Though Cherrapunji, Mainsrom are the areas which receive heavy rainfall, there are other areas in the region which are actually facing water shortage or scarcity. So in those regions, these bamboo towers are the areas where water storage is actually done. Then blending the technologies, bamboos have now been used for faucets. So as you can see is a classic and a beautiful example of bamboo faucet which regulates the flow of water and the connectivity. Then there are low cost water treatment plants specifically in the Kameng, Malkang regions and the Lamsang subdivisions of Manipur where there is acute water shortage for drinking water. So community health studies show that 50 to 60% of the diseases in the Kameng area are because of poor drinking water quality, and the villages suffer inadequate drinking water due to insufficient systems for deteriorated water and outdated sanitation systems in rural area. So safeguarding those, treating the pond water using indigenous technologies, slow sand filters are some of the important techniques. Now combining the TEK with modern scientific methods can bring in initiatives for afforestation, biodiversity conservation and sustainable resource management. So there have been numerous documentations focusing on maintaining the traditional ecological diversity. Biodiversity conservation and sustainable livelihood program is one such effort. Community based forest management program which talks about participatory forest based management for involving local tribals. Climate change adaptation, mitigation science projects, capacity building programs and awareness are such some efforts which have been done. The next is the tribal culture. Now under tribal culture we first talk about ethical tourism. The ethical tourism focuses on a tourism where we are trying to maintain the ethics and the real culture. So Worli paintings in Maharashtra, bamboo craftsmen of Tripura are actually showcasing those cultural immersive activities where village tours and workshops are organized. And there are two types of museums, the traditional museums and the living museums. Traditional museums are the museums where you go in and you see the works and the costumes, the food, the dresses of an individual tribes, right? However, a living museum is a museum where you actually engage with those tribal communities. You try to interact with those. Two such important living museums in India are Dakshina Chitra in Tamil Nadu and tribal museums of Madhya Pradesh. So in Madhya Pradesh, it basically focuses on the lives of the Gond and the Bhil tribe. Dakshina Chitra actually talks about the tribals of South, where how do we preserve the culture and the living artifacts. So here is one such example of tribal museum in Akaru and the living tribal museums as you can see. The next is IPs, the intellectual property rights of the tribal art. Now here, tribe arts are usually indicated with designs, motifs or techniques which have been used, and various have been given GI tags. Worli is one such painting from Maharashtra which has been given GI tag. Similarly, there are other parts of the world itself and including India where we have focused on restoring and preserving the tribal uniqueness and sustainability in the region. So there are various such examples. For example, Bhil tribe of central India is known for dots and dash stories where each dot represent a grain of a millet and it indicates the prosperity with the close ties to agriculture. The Gond paintings are actually depictions of gods, humans and animals along with natural world. So these are actually the way in which various cultures come or depict their message through the paintings and through the art forms. Natural pigments are used from charcoal, cow dung, leaves and soil colors to create artistic practices in the tribal area. Santhal tribe is known for rhythmic drumming and folk dances which explain the narratives of the harvest, hunting and the various festivals, social cohesions and the various historical and mythological events of the region. Naga tribe have this Hornbill festival which is known for traditional dances and folk songs. There are various musical instruments which are used. Bhagoria is a harvest festival by tribes of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, mainly in the Malwa area, and these tribes that participate in Bhagoria are the Bhils, Bhilalas and Patelias. So this is an example of the Bhagoria festival. The next is the Karam Harvest Festival. Now this is celebrated by the tea tribes. It is called as Karam and the god of harvest or fertility. The idea is a Jhumar dance is performed around the harvest in the night, and this is what is the uniqueness of this festival. The next is the Kosa silk. Kosa silk, also known as Champa silk, comes from Chhattisgarh. It is known for its softness and purity. It is extracted from the silk cocoons derived from Arjun Sal and Saja trees and is prepared to the pure silk form. In 2010, Champa silk was given the GI tag in Chhattisgarh. The signature trait is a dull golden texture which is seen. And then it has a series of natural textures for honey, orange, pale golden and so on. The patterns of jal or net and fera are incorporated to craft the artistic designs in the region. The next is the tribal aspects of Theyam. Now Theyam is the tribal communities from Kerala which preserve their rituals in the Malabar areas, the religious and the ritual aspects. So those residing from the Malayar, that is the Mala, the mountains from Kasorgarh in the north to Vadakar in the south have this Theyam aspect. And then there is another group which is Mavilya Namar from Kannur to Kasorgarh area. Then there are other tribes, as you can see the list here, for Thulu language, for Thulunad culture that has to be prepared. Now this Theyam is the most extraordinary form of worship in North Kerala. The word is derived from Divyam. Devam. Devam means God. Okay, so there is a collection of imagination where people's faith in the God and creativity of expression is taken into account. And the most beautiful thing is the extreme vigorous movements of Tandav and graceful movements of Lasya are depicted through Thayam. Now in Thayam there is the natural glory and the traditional instruments which are taken into account derived from ekra nut which grows in the region, and ornaments are produced from it, musical instruments are produced from it, from various parts of ekra nut. Then you have the Bhutakol, which is the neighboring areas of Karnataka, also known as Tulunadu, and the art is practiced in this region. The government of Kerala announced the creation of Theyam Kala Academy in Thallassery constituency, and this is now a national center for tangible and intangible cultural heritage to protect, preserve and renovate the monuments and the practices in those areas. As we said, the Malayar, the word comes from Mala, which is the mountain from Kasorgarh to Vadakar. There are various traditional activities like basket weaving. The Kopalar community in Kasorgarh is maintaining the Thulu language. The dancers preserve the Thulunad culture. Then there are various tribal societies which have migrated and settled in the Wayanad area. The artists elaborate the roles of deities, the ancestral heroes, and the vivid costumes and makeup and dance movements are explained. So there are few important aspects of Theyam which include symbolizing the harvest, the caste-based nature, the attire and the traditional instruments, and the Thotham Pattu, which is one such important aspect. There are more than 400 different types of Theyam. Each represent a different deity, a different story and a different historical and cultural lineage, but most of them are around the deities like Bhagwati, Kali, Chamundi, Bhadrakali, and there are natural and mythological tales associated with those. Also, Theyyam takes into form of animals like tigers and monkeys, symbolizing the community's connection with the nature. There is the Mappilam Theyyam, which represents the Muslim community and the cultural integration in the rural landscape. So it is narrative of the various ancient stories, how they have been captivating, the ecological symbolism, the sacred groves, and the conservation of the region. Recently, we have seen that the deep-rooted culture of Kerala has been brought into account through various unique artistic forms, and at the international stage, Theyyam got the Year of India's Festival in Paris in 1985, which talks about a symbol of India's rich folk culture and its heritage. Now, focusing on safeguarding the community, we have various art forms. For example, the Pradhans of the Gond actually use various colors made from mud, and these are used for floors, doors, walls, and the paintings on the walls, as you can see the Gond paintings here. Then we have the Pithora paintings from the regions of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, mainly by the Rathwa, Bilal, and Naika tribes. Dhokra brass sculptures from Odisha, which depict the various ancient stories. Terracotta pottery from West Bengal, Bankura area. These express emotions. Bhimbetka cave paintings actually talk about how early human interacted with nature. There is Indo-Dabu fabric prints from Rajasthan, indigenous Bonda jewelry from Odisha. So all these you can see in the depictions here. Then there is a diverse form of folk art along with metalwork and agriculture for the regions of the tribal community. So, for example, in Odisha, the mythological stories are through the Patchitra. Tribal jewelries of silver, bead, and shells are used. Dhokra metal from Chhattisgarh preserves the various metal sculptures and the tribal motifs here. Worli, as we already discussed in the beginning, Worli tribes mainly are seen in the regions of Thane and Nasik in Maharashtra, and they are actually from the Neolithic period. The various forms of Worli you can see here. The next is recognizing the cultural diversity and empowering the local human heritage. So UNESCO actually is known for cultural diversity, tangible as well as intangible. So tangible means in the form of art, traditions, languages. Intangible in the form of beliefs, values, and social practices. So both tangible and intangible are protected. The International Fund for Cultural Diversity supports the cultures and the creativity. There are more than 700 distinct tribal groups which have been identified in India, with more than 104 million people and 8% of the population, preserving them across the various lineages like Dravidian, Indo-Aryan, Austro-Asiatic, Tibeto-Burman have been important. For example, the Murung that we talked about, the structures built of bamboo by the Konyak Naga actually belong to the lineage of Mongols. So there are various tribes belonging to different lineages, and their different implications have been seen. Similarly, Santals in the regions of East are known for their oral traditions. Northeast, we do have different traditional governance systems. Bhils and Gujars in the west are known for pastoralism and agriculture. Adivasis of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh are known for ancestral resources, forest resources, and their knowledge for forest resources. The Mizo tribes speak Mizo in Mizoram, Bhili by Bhil tribes in Rajasthan and Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Oraon by Oraon tribes in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Bihar. So even the language which has been spoken are different. Santali language by the Santhal tribe in Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Odisha. And these again are indicative of the region and their folklores. So there are various epics and folklores that symbolizes or explains the victory of those tribal lives and they give them a sense of identity, belongingness, and a way to preserve their culture. There are various cuisines or food items which have been prepared. For example, bamboo shoot curry of northeast, Naga cuisines with pork cooked with exon, which is the soya bean paste. Santal tribes sayo aloo, which is a blend of aloo, mustard, and local spices. Then Mizoram, it is the bamboo steamed fishes. Red ant chutney in Gond tribes. Bhil cuisine mainly with mahua flower curry. There is Shishunak saag from Garhwal, which is mainly the mustard oil, spices, and the greens in those areas. Rice beer. Then there are different clothings. In Manipur, the Fanek and the Inamfi, Feran in Kashmir. Then there is Angabi Naga shawls, Mekhla Chadar in Assam, Pattu Pavadai. So that's basically the Santhal's dresses. Okay, so these are some of the traditional garments that can be seen. The traditional art forms on the floor in the form of rangolis are again important. So the tribes actually print various layers of choices. Footwears are again unique with these tribes, but now they are trying to bring those into market driven forces. For example, Bollywood can adopt movies from tribes and bring those cultures, bring those traditional clothings or footwears into market, and this way the tribal community actually gets a livelihood survival, where they actually see the intrinsic value of their tribes and have a market driven globalization. The next is National Tribal Culture Policy. It's an aim to preserve the rich tribes and the rich tribal community of India. The policy ensures preservation and documentation of each of the culture and support the arts and the artisans which are left in a very minor quantity or in very minor numbers, we could say, in these areas. In the northeast, there are numerous tribal folk dance which are seen. For example, in Arunachal Pradesh, the Nishe people have their indigenous faith, and the Rikampada is the folk dance. They actually keep cane headwears and antique waist belts. These waist belts are made of bell metal, which is a heirloom actually passing from generations. Adi tribe is known for the Punong dance, the Solong festival, which is the harvest festival. At that time, the Adi tribe performs it. The dance is done usually by females and it's guided by males or the miri of the society. The attire is gele and galap, which is the dress with conical head covers. Apatani people have their own folk dance known as the Minda, which marks the beginning and the end of the Dri festival. Dri is a very important festival in Arunachal Pradesh. Monpa people who follow Mahayana Buddhism have 21 different folk dances called as Cham, and these are performed during the Torang, which is a 3-day monastic festival in the region. Among these, the Gon Niam Cham involves 11 dancers which have bells in their hand and damrus in the other hand, and they depict the Daknis or the protectors of the Buddhist religion. The next, in Assam, there are 23 tribes divided into 12 plains and 11 hills, and each of them have their unique dance and unique culture. Bagrumpa is a dance by Bodo tribes. They have a traditional attire of Dokonda and Fali. They actually pray in the spring for prosperity and well-being. So this dance resembles a butterfly holding up their fali or flutter to the music. Bodo folk dance is performed during the spring, and that is to welcome the wind god. Then we have the missing people. The folk dance is Gumrang Somang. There is another traditional dances and dresses. The list of that you can see here. So these would be available in the handouts. Again, important. In Meghalaya, the Khasis of Meghalaya perform the Nongrim dance, which is at the Nongrim festival dedicated to the indigenous deity Uli Shelong, and the women actually come in vibrant dresses and colors, and the idea is to promote and preserve the culture in those regions. festivals. So those actually are some of the important aspects that we could see. Now in Mizoram, there is Chevra, which is the bamboo dance, and it is the oldest Mizo dance. It is believed to have started in the 1st century. So 8 men actually manipulate the bamboo poles, and then women step in and out of that. Also, there is another dance which is known as Khullam, meaning the dance of the guest, performed at the Khwangchavi ceremony, where the invited guests enter by dancing in the traditional attire accompanied by the others. So this is one of the forms of the dance. Then in Manipur, the Mao tribe have the Ashari Odo. This is again a dance form with rhythms and graceful movement. The Tangkhul people hold the significance for the primary folk dance at various stages. The Shimlam is performed during the Gagnai festival and is a tale of Tajuibon, the flying insect with wings moving from flowers to flowers. And then there is another one, which is the Kitlam, which is performed during the harvest festival, and it indicates a dance similar to the movement of crickets. In Nagaland, the Angami tribe have a popular folk dance where the elders give a call, oho, oho, and then the participants come in a circular motion and perform the dance. There is Changse people who celebrate the festivals, ohio, that is done exclusively by males, and they evaluate the actions of birds and animals and roster fights for the animals. The next is Tripura. The Ringai tribe actually performs the Hosagiri dance, and that is during the Lakshmi Pujan. There are various instruments like kham, which is the drum, and the sumai, which is the flute, which is done by the women performers. And then there is a cycle of Jhoom, the slash and burn cultivation, which is explained. The Garya dance by the Jamatia and the Kalia tribe is again important. The Dokra metal casting, as we said, is one of the ancient and the unique forms of metal casting in West Bengal, Odisha, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. And here are some of the artifacts made from the Dokra style. Then the agriculture festivals. Agriculture festivals are integral part of tribal culture because they have been very close to nature, forest and agriculture. So sowing, nurturing and harvesting, and the different periods at which these are performed, specific festivities are maintained. For example, the Savra and the Jatapu tribes are engaged in farming and gathering of the forest produce. There is Red Gram Week festival, which is during the month of January in Makar Sankranti, which is celebrated, and here red grams are offered to the god as a part of ritual or a custom. There is festivals of flower, which is the Polu Pandaga, which is celebrated during Shivratri. Then in the March, there is a festival for cropping the seeds. Then in April, there is a festival to honor the Mother Earth. In May, there is a festival for sowing and cultivation to bless the agricultural tools and utensils. So every month they have the series of festivals that come in for agriculture. In Assam, the Missing tribe actually has two major festivals, Ali A Leng and Porang. Ali A Leng marks the beginning of the cultivation on the first Wednesday of the month of Falgun, and Porang is a joyous festival which is post-harvest. Every 2 to 3 years, other communities, Nora Siga Bihu, comes in, and that is celebrated for 5 days. People from those tribes come together and actually celebrate. Similarly, in Arunachal Pradesh, Mokhoho festival is celebrated by the Apatani, and that is again a harvesting festival. Idu Mishi tribe celebrates the Rehe festival, which is again an agricultural festival to bring in blessings for the crops. Galo festival in central Arunachal Pradesh is a festival for where rice flour is applied to each other's face, and this is the reason that this region is known for rice and rice as a staple crop. Nishi tribe celebrates the Nokam festival every 26th February, and this is a special point to mark their community and bring everyone together. Losar is another important festival in Sikkim for harvest, and once the harvest is done, this festival is celebrated. Sikeva is a festival in Sikkim again, and this is celebrated by the Kirat Khamba Rai community. the idea is to honor Mother Earth for the blessings that have been given to us. Losong and Nomsong festivals are the festivals which mark the end of the harvest and signifies the Sikkimese New Year. So Sikkim New Year is celebrated with Losong festival. There is another important festival in Odisha which is known as Bihan Mela. This is started since 2019. Translating into Seed Festival, it is a point where indigenous crops are cultivated in the Nayagarh districts of Odisha. Following the Green Revolution, the corn farmers abandoned the traditional crops that were resilient to disease and pests, and actually they those which were capable of adapting to the climate change. So there have been numerous works done on it. Now the Seed Festival is held every year in December, resembles a traditional heart where seeds are historically exchanged, stored in earthen pots which is decorated with white and red, and then there are drums and musical instruments being played. Seed exchange is done through the indigenous seed bank which has been organized. Now seed bank has been established in 2019 in Raisar village, and it supports numerous farmers in and around to preserve the indigenous varieties. There are 12 different varieties of rice, and 62 of them have now been brought into account. It has been expanded with 4 millets, 5 varieties of pulses and 8 types of vegetables which are totally indigenous to the region. With the help of the seed bank, nearly 750 different farmers have benefited. So tribal beliefs is an important part of it, bringing in a sense of unity, bringing in participation from every small village and household, and increasing tourism in the region is one such aspect. So those were some of the key things that we have discussed for Kurukshetra today. Thanks a lot for joining in. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to connect back. Have a wonderful day ahead.